The other two guys are busy, so welcome to the 3i Cast.
Thank you. I'll step in. I'll step in a little bit with you on 3i Best.
And you'll probably have greater insight than the other two guys combined anyway, but don't let them hear it. Well, as many as my buddies know, I've been going to the VA for quite a while.
Yeah.
And as you veterans and families of veterans out there, you know that sometimes the VA is very tricky to get things done, to maneuver to the place you got to be, to get the kind of service that you really need to get. I've been having back issues for a long time. I had made an appointment through my primary care about 2 months ago to get new MRIs on my back and new x-rays. And as expected, the wait time for an MRI was 3 months, which it get frustrated. You just say thank you for the appointment and you wait. But remarkably, I had gone out to the VA here in Dallas for a different issue because it had become increasingly more and more difficult to walk. In fact, I woke up on Sunday morning and couldn't put any pressure on my feet. So we went out to the emergency room at the VA and went up to the MRI section just to check to see if there had been any cancellations that day where I could jump in. And remarkably, the young lady behind the counter said, "Let me check." She goes, "Yes, you're just in time. We've got a cancellation. If you can go right now, we can get you in." So I was able to go down the hall.
Yeah, they literally got him in that moment. We went to the counter, she did the check, there was availability, and they actually took him back immediately. I could not believe it, how fast that happened.
So I was able to get an MRI 10 weeks sooner
than the original schedule date.
So
incredible.
So that was a very good and if not great experience with my
Dallas VA,
most recent VA visits. So you guys out there that have good stories or horror stories about what you've experienced at the VAs around the U.S., let me know.
Yeah. And I mean, healthcare in general, I think it's amazing how much you as a consumer have to know, asking the right questions, making sure you're in the right department, making sure you got the right number. I mean, I was trying to schedule, ironically, also an MRI for my mom, and I called the insurance company and said, what are MRI locations or imaging locations that do MRIs that are in my area that also are in network versus out of network? Pretty simple question. And the insurance person went through and said, "Oh yeah, I see there's 3, 4, whatever. I can either send you an email with a list or I can tell you a couple of them over the phone if you'd like." So I said, "Okay, give me the 2 that are closest to me." So I then turned around and gave those 2 names to the doctor that needed to do the referral for the MRI. And it turned out that one of the 2 that the insurance company gave me as in-network imaging for MRIs, they don't do MRIs. So anyway, it's not, it is frustrating sometimes because you have to know very specifically what to ask. And in some cases, you then have to follow up with the places that you've been referred to make sure they can actually deliver on what it is that you need. I know the VA sometimes does have you go outside of the VA to get whatever the issue is addressed, from the scan or whatever. But in some cases...
Yeah, I've shown up to third-party providers to have a procedure done, and it was scheduled by the VA, and I get there, and that third-party provider looks at me like, I've got 3 eyes, and says, "We don't provide that service."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I had an appointment, and it was, sorry, we'll let the VA know we don't provide that service." So it is kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to end with, I did have a good experience.
Yeah, the good news is,
So
they were able to do it in-house.
Don't want to come on here and complain all the time, but good experience with it.
Yeah, so that worked out really well.
So
and
if you're willing
results.
to ask and stand in line and look for opportunities, you will find an opportunity sometimes out there that's available. So
yeah,
a lot of stuff in the news.
A lot of stuff in the news.
We're still shut down as far as being able to pay
the funding. Although I think the Trump administration has done an order, I guess executive order to have
short term. That's not a long term solution.
Have the employees paid, so at least they're going to get paid. Yeah. I believe the TSA workers, they now are receiving their checks as of I think a week ago,
which is a good thing for all those folks that do that type of work. But again, it's just a short term solution.
Right.
Congress and the Senate need to get their act together, in my opinion. Work it out, both sides. I'm not going to take red or blue. Both of y'all need to get off your backside and work it out and get this settled.
My biggest issue is how is it that they can go on a break
2 weeks
and have people technically not getting paid and expect them to do the work, but the Congress is still getting paid while they are taking a break. I mean,
don't worry. In the next 6 months, they'll be out saying how much they love the American people and begging for your vote. So
yeah, I really, I think it was Kennedy that put a bill or proposed a bill that the Senate does not get paid until they come to resolution. So for a shutdown, for example, that they would not get paid during the shutdown until that shutdown is over, and then they would get all their back pay. So they're not going to lose any money. They just will not get it until they are back open and functioning again. So everybody's getting paid. Now, it surprises me that somehow they continue to get paid and they are delivering on keeping the government open. It makes no sense to me. So I don't know.
And thousands of people who are their constituents
are suffering.
We're not getting paid. But let's us get paid. Oh, got to catch up the plane and jump to the head of the line because I'm a congressman and I'm going on a 2-week vacation.
Yeah, wow. So I don't know our politics are a little messed up in some cases. I think there's issues on all sides, Republican, Democrat, Independent, all sides. I don't really understand why some of this more common sense stuff cannot be resolved. I feel like when you have a business or even internal to your own household, you got to have some kind of a budget. You can't just willy-nilly, do things and just expect somehow things are going to work out. I don't know. I mean, it's just very strange. But
and oversight. Oh my gosh, the fraud that is continuing to be uncovered. The latest one that I think both of us saw was the Medicare Medicaid fraud going on in Los Angeles County. Billions of dollars being taken away
out of Medicare.
Medicare, which affects.
That has to do with hospice care, is what this one was
about.
That
comes out of the Medicare and Medicaid bucket.
Yeah.
So depleting resources that are already stretched thin to be generous. It's just I hope that they continue to investigate this fraud and that they actually follow through and punish those folks, put them in prison, and don't give them the ability to get out early and go back and do the same thing again. I mean, stop it.
Yeah,
stop it.
I guess my question on that is, okay, so we now found the fraud. We've arrested the people. Okay, where's the money? And are we ever going to see that again? Or is that Medicare and Medicaid fund that has been paying these guys for how many ever years they've been doing this? Are we ever going to see that back in the bucket of Medicare and Medicaid? Yeah. Or do we now waste I'm not saying it shouldn't be a waste, but even more money prosecuting these guys?
We're going to spend a lot of money prosecuting. Hopefully they can seize all of their assets, their bank accounts, their houses, their boats, their second and third homes. But not only those people, but the people that were supposed to be providing oversight that didn't do their job,
right.
Or actually maybe they did do their job and they took money under the table to allow this fraud to continue going. Just saying, don't know if it's true, but just saying, they should be prosecuted and maybe some of their assets seized if they can link back that, yes, the people in charge of the oversight were also receiving kickbacks in order to let the fraud continue.
I mean, so this we're talking about that we just learned about a few days ago has to do with LA in California. Prior to that, we already heard all the fraud that was coming out of Minnesota,
and then the children's side, and from the learning centers, the learning centers. Yeah.
But it was specific to childcare. I thought it was like special needs.
Yeah, childcare.
But which again, that came out of I think Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So where is that money? And are we ever going to see any of it? A lot of times, you hear about cases that go to court and yay, okay, they won the case, but do they actually get the money? I don't know if they're ever, is Medicare and Medicaid actually going to get replenished with the funds that they now have found have been siphoned out? And
hopefully so, but even if they don't get replenished, at least they stop it.
Yes, that's true.
Don't let it continue.
Yeah.
I know they're not going to be successful with 100%, but if they can even find half of these folks and the people responsible for the oversight and stop the bleeding, good grief.
No, if they stop it, that's a huge benefit that it's now not continuing to happen. But I just, did these guys blow all the money and enjoy it, and now we can't even get it by seizing things and trying to resell them or whatever to put the money back in that Medicare, Medicaid bucket or Social Security bucket or whatever.
We'll see how it works out.
Very, And I think I heard also today that they're also looking at Florida for something
similar. They're looking at every state. Every state, but it looks like the next target is Florida because Florida, a red state, seems to be just as bad or maybe worse than California, a blue state. So please go after.
Yeah, blanket across the board. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a party-specific problem. It is an American problem. Go after these folks that are defrauding us out of our taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, it sounds like the Vice President, JD Vance, is going to be kind of the fraud czar, and so he's kind of overseeing this process and across the different states and coordinating that effort. But I am hoping that in some cases, there's actually funds that we see that are going to go back and replenish some of that money that was lost. But I just don't know. You say a case is won down the road, but what does that really mean? Is there money that's actually going back? Is there money that's being collected so that it will eventually get back into those buckets? I don't know. But yes, you're right. At least stopping the problem is a huge step.
Yep. And we got 6 people on the way to orbit the moon.
Yeah, how exciting.
5 or
So they're
6.
actually going to go around the moon. I think one is Canadian, right? And the
One's
rest are US.
Canadian, yeah.
Rest are US astronauts. And they're going
That's
to go
pretty
around
cool.
the moon now. And then I think by 2028, they're going to actually land on the other side of the moon from where
What do you
we
guys
came
think is on the backside of the moon? I mean, we've never seen the backside of the moon. Apparently, they get to see the back of the moon
Well, we'll get to see it
during
as
a
well.
lunar eclipse, which means there's going to be more light on the
Right.
backside of the moon, which is perfect timing. I wonder if that's
I'm sure that's why
coincidence or
they
they figured it out.
I'm sure they planned that. Of course, they coordinated that.
But I think the backside of the moon is just flat. I don't think it's really round. I think they're going to get around there and they're going to see a cardboard cutout and think, oh my God, it's not really a sphere. It's just a
Half circle?
I
I don't think that's true. But did you hear the little controversy about it? Looked like there was a cone of some kind that was in the image
I
as
thought
they.
that was from Mars. That cone.
Oh, I'm
was from
sorry.
Mars.
Was that a Mars thing? Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
they hadn't gotten to the moon yet.
Yeah,
Maybe now
it
they
was
have.
parking for one of the alien spaceships.
And was it an ice cream cone? Were
I
there
think it was-
aliens that were
I
eating?
think it was a big cone. I don't think it was a little big.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's see. And,
Okay, so what else
oh
is
my
happening?
gosh. And I spent 3 years on Diego Garcia, and I'm sure
Oh,
a lot of you,
Boy, they're in the news.
a lot of you sailors out there going, that's impossible. It's only a 1-year tour, which is true. But I had already left active duty and I was working as a contractor. So as a contractor, I was there for 3 years. And I would talk to people and they're like, where you been? I'm Diego Garcia. And they're like, oh, so that's in California? So, I mean, most of the world, unless you're a big fan of, what's the robotics thing where they change?
Transformers movie.
Because the Transformers, supposedly, their hideout was Diego Garcia. But nobody else ever knew where Diego Garcia actually is. But yeah, they've been a lot in the news lately.
Yeah, because of everything going on with Iran, and Diego Garcia is a key location. It is owned by the British, so there was some restriction or tension there. But now they.
Yeah, but now with missiles,
Yeah.
being shot in their direction,
Yeah.
and Navy SEALs out there doing
The Marines.
their tactical training. It's I still keep in touch with a few people out there, even though it's been over 10 years. But yeah, it's very interesting to see a place that I used to live and work being in international news.
International news, yeah, and it's so close to all of the activities that are happening out there. So we wish them well
Yeah,
and safety,
my
and
friends and coworkers that still happen to be out there,
Yeah.
you guys.
stay safe and
Yep.
stay aware and stay safe of everything that's going on.
Yeah, and thanks for what you do out there.
Absolutely.
So what we got? So we got Diego, we got the moon, we got fraud.
Gas prices kind of
Yeah,
creeping up still.
my
Hoping it's
personal
going to go
opinion.
down, but
Yeah, my personal opinion is it's temporary. And yeah, $4 a gallon average is 35% more than it was a few months ago.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to do the conservative dig. A few years ago, the average was $6 a gallon. So we're still below what we were a couple of years ago.
yeah, where we were.
But it's temporary. I honestly believe as soon as this mess gets settled, I believe that gas prices will come back down. I heard that we produce enough within the United States now that we really don't need to buy from anybody else. And as far as what we are currently getting from that specific area, we get less than 10% from that specific area anyway.
I thought it was
So-
less than 1%.
And
Maybe it is
it
more,
all has
but
to do with
very low.
world prices, and I know the Permian Basin here in Texas, they're going to sell their barrels to the people that are willing to pay what the market will bear. So
Last I
and
saw
that's
it was
a
like
supply-
$111
yeah,
a
that's a
barrel.
supply and demand thing. If they really wanted to, they could still, and they could still sell and manufacture fuel less expensive and cleaner here in the U.S. than we can get it from overseas.
And
But-
there was some tension with, I think, California, because we did start drilling on the West Coast and turned all that back on. So, of course, that's going to help with our
Well,
reserves.
California's gas problem is as much of state
state
and
issue.
local taxes that
Right.
are piled on top of the gas price. It's ridiculous that you got to pay $2 to $3 more a gallon in California just to cover the state and local taxes. I mean,
Right.
That's just silly. But for all you folks that live in
I
California,
mean, I know that, like, for those that have to drive to work every day, it is probably hitting your wallet quite a bit
Oh,
more
yeah,
now
I'm sure
than
it is.
it was.
I'm sure
But
it is.
again, when we hear that it's temporary, I really do hope and hope that we see that it is truly temporary and it's not going to just drag on for months and months. Hopefully, it is a matter of weeks, and then we'll see things settling back down. In other pricing, though, I mean, I know that I'm always looking for deals and stuff, but overall, I think like groceries and other consumables have gone
eggs
down.
a couple of weeks ago for what, 99 cents
Yeah,
a dozen, no limit? It's like,
yeah, and there wasn't a limit on it, which I was surprised.
Yeah.
So there are, overall, there's things that have gone down in price. Gas, unfortunately,
And I
has
did see
crept up.
that wages grew 3.5%, and that's overall 3.5%, which was better than inflation.
Yeah.
So the wage prices are actually going up at a faster rate
Than inflation.
And
our job numbers, I think, were
Oh my gosh, they
almost double of what
were
they
more than double.
expected.
They
More than
expected
double.
68,000. It came in at 178,000.
So that was
So,
great news.
I really believe gas prices will come back down, but
Yeah.
I think we beat that one to death.
Yeah, and let us know where are your pain points over the last 4 weeks or so with everything going on with Iran, and then there's been some issues here that have been threats in specific cities around
Yeah.
the U.S. And of course, traveling, if you're traveling and having to go through these
Oh my
airport
gosh, I
lines
feel
and
sorry
things.
for you if you were in the 3 to 6 hour lines waiting
Right.
for TSA.
Yeah, some of the big airports, we saw some of those on the news.
But remarkably, people were actually friendly and
Yeah, they
nice,
were.
and I think they realized it wasn't the TSA agent's fault. They're the ones that showed up. We're trying to do the job as efficiently and quickly as possible. It's the politicians. So
Right.
I think a lot of that with him getting paid has been temporarily resolved. But yeah, I don't want to beat that to death. But get back to work. Resolve the long-term problem. People in Congress and the Senate. So.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on politicians, your local politicians, the federal politicians? The more and more you kind of dig into some of the stuff, the more I feel like, it's just not a vote for a party anymore. You
Yeah.
do have to look at the individual, their record, what are they standing for today as opposed to maybe in the past.
And not what they're saying, but what they're doing.
Yeah, what are their actions actually showing you and telling you about what they really
Especially
do?
the people that have been there 40 plus years.
Right.
You go back and look at old clips and old news things. They've completely 100% 180. It just, what have you actually done instead of what have you talked about doing? It's term limits. Term
limits, I think, are a really good thing. I hope that actually happens. The problem is the people that you want to get term limits are the people that are voting for it. So how do you get around that?
Guys voting to keep their job and to give themselves a pay raise and
yeah.
they're
And
not doing work.
the other, big thing that's happening more recently, it has to do with birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
And how do you handle that, deal with that? In the past, there obviously was a legitimate reason for it. Today, it seems like it's being manipulated
Seems like it is definitely being manipulated.
Yeah, where they have whole travel companies that do nothing but set up individuals to come here just to deliver their baby and then
Well, they
go
don't even have to
back.
come here. They go to the Mariana Islands, and if you're born in the Mariana Islands, you're automatically U.S.
Right.
citizen.
Where are the Mariana Islands?
People are paying $20, $25,
big
$50,
bucks.
$100,000 to have their surrogate go to the islands to deliver the child so that they can have U.S. citizenship. I mean,
I've not heard of these islands. Where are they?
we'll have to look at it.
Okay,
I'm more interested in the irritation of it all
I know.
than where the physical location. It's a difficult topic, and I don't think it's going to be resolved with A or B.
it
I
won't.
think it's going to have to be A with exceptions and listed
Right.
exceptions, and then crooks and fraudulent people will figure out a way to circumvent the exceptions. But we just cannot have hundreds of thousands of citizenship papers being given out for reasons that our forefathers 250 years ago
Never
could have
intended.
never thought of or intended.
No, I don't
They
think it
would have
was
never thought that
intended.
people could take, a 3-hour flight to an island and give birth just to claim the citizenship papers. Anyway, let's move on before I really.
And not to say other countries don't do it, so we should do it, but it doesn't make sense for some of these extreme cases, which now unfortunately have become the norm.
majority.
Yeah, it's really scary because it can completely change how this country is run. It just changes so many things.
Who has access to
can get
information?
in?
Not only just the benefits and the money, but how you can get jobs and get
Right.
access to information because now you're a U.S. citizen. How you can get access to things that we probably do not want certain countries to know about. It's frightening to know that there are hundreds of thousands of Chinese children who are living in China that are being groomed, and they're technically U.S. citizens.
Right.
That's
Right, because of their birthright. Yeah.
because of their birthright privilege.
Yeah, very scary stuff. Let us know what your thoughts are on it. Have you experienced anything like in your local area or seen anything in the local news where you're seeing these travel agencies? I think it was really big in Florida for many years. And it's not just China. It was like Eastern European. It's just a mix of people from all over that were participating. So anyway, that was another huge thing in the news, but we'll kind of see how all that unfolds.
Well, I think that wraps it up for today. So, Three-Eyed Bass, thanks for sitting in.
Happy to sit in anytime.
So be sure to subscribe, follow, click the link below, and like us. We'd appreciate it.